Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
Welcome to episode 16 of the Exploring Washington State podcast. Today's episode is a conversation between myself and Kathleen of Kathleen Elopement Photography. Kathleen is an adventure elopement photographer, and today's episode is going to have conversations about what exactly is elopement photography, creative ideas of places to go where you can celebrate your special moment with the person you love out in nature. It's a wide-ranging conversation. We talk a little bit about camera gear. We talk about her enthusiasm for beer and food, places that she likes to eat in Washington State. As usual, it's a wide-ranging thing. But this episode's just slightly different. This was recorded spontaneously, last minute, without any great preparation. So it's going to be a little rough. Your host didn't do the best job. So this almost could be tagged as a comedy track, in my opinion. You're going to have a lot of fun laughing at me. But in the nature of, exploring Washington State, not everything's polished and perfect. We try to give you guys, real insight, not commercially driven stuff. So welcome. Episode 16. Let's get started. And remember, there's always more to explore. All right. So my guest today is Kathleen with Kathleen Elopement Photography. Welcome to the show.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super stoked to be here.
All right. This should be kind of fun and entertaining. So folks, full disclosure, this is a total spontaneous podcast episode. It's unscripted, live, without a net. All right. So Kathleen, why don't you give us the backstory? You're not from Washington, but you live here now. So how'd you end up here?
So I grew up in Arizona. I grew up in the Phoenix area, and then I went to school in Tucson. Before COVID, obviously my husband and I were big into traveling. We were on a road trip. We went to Colorado to visit some friends, and we're just kind of chatting and wanted to make a change in our lives. And I've always wanted to live in Washington. So 2 months later, we moved here and kind of uprooted everything, and it's been great.
That's kind of the spontaneous move to Washington story. I kind of like that. So how long have you been doing elopement photography, and what got you started on this? What was the I want to do elopement photography?
Yeah. So I used to be in the medical field. That's what my degree's in. That's what all my work experience is in. I got really burnt out. So I decided that I wanted to make a career change, and I kind of started following my passion for photography. I've always liked taking photos, and I officially launched my business about 1.5 years ago. I niched down to elopements. I really like taking pictures of couples on their wedding day, and I'm an avid hiker, and I really like going outdoors, so I kind of combined the two together, and that's how I ended up in Adventure Outdoor Elopements.
Awesome. Okay. So I'm looking at your website right now. And so we're going to kind of go through your website because I like how you described yourself. So you described yourself as a hiker, a dog mom, adventurer, food and beer enthusiast, and road tripper. So in the Jeopardy theme, how about hiker for 200? What type of hikes do you like to do? Are you a hardcore hiker? Or are you more of a casual hiker? What's your thing?
I would say I've worked up to more hardcore hiker. I just went on a backpacking trip a couple weeks ago. It was 21 miles, so I don't know if that qualifies as hardcore or not. But yeah, I've been hiking a lot this summer. We've had some really great weather.
So lately. Where did you guys go on the 21-mile hike? Where was that?
It's called Jade Lake. It's in the Alpine Lakes Wilderness.
Oh, very cool. Okay. Dog mom. Does the dog go on hikes?
Yeah, she comes with me most times. Not the ones that she's, not allowed to go, but her name's Ranger. She's a German Shepherd. Adopted her from Seattle Humane.
Oh, very cool. Good job.
Yeah, so
I love to hear people that take a chance on those animals. We've got 3 of them at our house that are all
rescues.
Yeah, exactly. So
nice.
Yeah, all 3 orange cats right now. That's what we've got. It's kind of a weird. Anyway, enough about that. So Ranger goes with you on hikes when she's allowed. And then you say you're an adventurer. So what's my idea of adventure? Like I told you on the phone earlier, it's like 13 stairs upstairs. I'm an indoor guy. what do you consider adventure? What's kind of fun for you?
I like trying new things a lot. I just went sea kayaking this summer for the first time. That was super fun. I really want to go skydiving. And COVID has kind of made things harder, but yeah, skydiving's number one on the bucket list there. Really anything. I'm I guess adrenaline junkie, you might say.
Adrenaline junkie. Okay.
So
I have some friends. I have some friends that are skydiving enthusiasts, and they're not right in the head. They're just, why jump out of a perfectly good airplane? I kid. Yeah. All right, so then we're going to transition into food and beer enthusiast, because now we're talking stuff I know more about. So as you've been up here for a while now, so in the general Washington State area, what have you found that you like?
Really like going to microbreweries. I went to Twin Sisters Brewing up in Bellingham a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. Gonna check out Bellevue Brewing today. So I'm excited about that. I really like the teriyaki scene here.
Really? I didn't know that there was a teriyaki scene.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I was reading when we first moved here, I guess people have strong opinions about it. But I like Nisai teriyaki. That's been the one I've stuck with. It's pretty good.
All right. And then, so the road tripper part, I mean, you can still do those now at the time of COVID, but do you guys get out a lot, or are you kind of stuck at home right now? What's we
haven't been out too much this year, but growing up, I road tripped a lot with my family. We would go on multiple road trips throughout the year, and we had a RV, and we kind of go around and camp across the U.S. So I've always grown up with that.
All right, right. So, elopement photography. You were in the medical field. You had a passion for photography while you're in the medical field. You decided to open your own business, which kudos. I love these small businesses. The entrepreneurs of the world are underrated, in my opinion. Why elopement photography? For those of us that aren't familiar with it, why don't you give us like the 10,000 foot level, and then we can maybe drill down a little deeper.
Yeah. So, elopements, I believe, are the best type of wedding days. Is kind of strips back all the production of everything, and it really focuses on having a really good experience and on what matters most, which is, two people committing their lives to one another and exchanging their vows. And it's kind of like a wedding to its core. And I really like elopements because there's no rules to it. You don't have to kind of conform to anyone's expectations or opinions of what your day should look like, or any traditions that, don't suit you. You can really make it all about what you and your partner wants, and have the time of your lives getting married.
Cool. That's okay. I like that. That was a very nice explanation of it. Actually, that was thinking back on mine and going, yeah, good. Should have thought about this. So you don't just do Washington State, you do the Western U.S. And I see on your site you've got kind of a travel schedule here where you're going to be, and some pretty cool. Like you're going to be in Yosemite and later in October. This month you're in Washington and Oregon. I jokingly, we don't care about Oregon. So we're exploring Washington State. No.
Yeah.
What are some things that people need to be looking for? Because even though, like you just said, it's kind of down to the essence of it. It's still, you just don't go walking up into the hills and say, I do. There's some more involvement in that. If nothing else, depending on where it's at, planning it, getting in, getting out, and all of that. What sort of steps do people need to be looking at for places here in Washington? Are our parks friendly to this? Is there a bunch of bureaucracy? What's going on?
Yeah. So I guess to start off, whenever I'm talking to someone who's considering eloping, a lot of people kind of don't know where to start. So I like to kind of say, imagine your perfect day from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Like, where are you at? Like, what's the scenery like? What are you doing? What kind of activities do you have planned? What are you eating? What are you drinking? Just imagine your perfect day together and kind of go from there. And Me personally, I am really involved in the planning process with all of my couples that I work with. So I do a lot of extensive location scouting on the internet. Washington Trails Association is a really good one to check out if you don't know what trails to start. They have a bunch of really good descriptions and trip reports, so you can kind of get to see different angles of pictures and stuff like that. And national parks have a lot more restrictions and regulations than national forests do. For national parks, they all require a permitting process. Typically, you need a permit to get married there, and then you need a permit to be photographed there. And those can be anywhere from you need to apply 30 days in advance to 90 days in advance. And they're all different. Everyone has their own set of rules.
You have to have a permit to be photographed.
Yeah. So like for Mount Rainier National Park, specifically, you need to, I think the one that I get to photograph couples is $150. And I think to get married, there's the same price, but they're separate permits.
I had no idea ever that you would have to have a permit to be photographed at a national park. That just seems, wow. I had no clue. So I would have, does that mean you can't go up and take an Instagram selfie at a national park? Are you violating that? Or is this because it's more of a structured event?
So since it's commercial and if you have a photographer there, it's, benefiting their business and they can use it for marketing purposes. That's when you need the permit. So you photographing, like just if you went on a hike and took a selfie, that's not in violation of it or anything. And then the money goes back into the park. So it goes, into the upkeep, into the rangers' pay, that kind of thing. So I don't mind it personally, just because I like to, like the upkeep of the national parks. But a lot of people don't know that there's such strict permits and regulations in place until they start planning.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, that when you said that, I was slack-jawed actually. That's fascinating to me. So on your site, you've got some frequently asked questions, so we'll kind of work through those. But so what is the difference between elopement, an intimate wedding, and an adventure wedding? I mean, how do you break those three out into separate things? Because maybe I'm thinking I want an elopement, but really what I want is an adventure wedding. What's kind of the differences?
So a traditional wedding, is kind of what, you think of when like you have the big reception, the big party. Elopements are a lot more intimate. Different people are going to have different, kind of guest counts, I would say, but I would say anywhere around 25 to 30 people could be considered an elopement. And then you could also have 0 guests and just you and your partner getting married. And both of those could classify as an adventure wedding. Really, an adventure wedding is any type of wedding that includes adventurous element to it.
More technical, like technical hike-in versus a leisurely stroll type thing?
I would even count a leisurely stroll. Anything in nature, I would, count. Some of my elopements don't actually involve too much hiking. I do like the ones that have a degree of hiking, but there are a lot of places where it's, a mile or less to get to some pretty cool spots.
So let's ask you this question. So you just said mile or hiking. What's the most extreme elopement wedding you've photographed so far? Like, what was the one? I mean, have you had to summit Everest to do a wedding? What's extreme in your world?
Well, that would be really cool. That would be cool to photograph a wedding on Mount Everest for sure. I have a lot of elopement ideas, but I would say the most extreme was a pretty tough hike. It was maybe like 9 miles and almost 400,000. Sorry, 4,000, not 400,000 elevation gain. So yeah, that was pretty strenuous.
Okay. So when we're doing this, you know, your packages, we're looking at, you know, you hire a photographer for 6+ hours. That does seem a little daunting to me because I'm the guy who doesn't like to be in front of the camera. Are you taking shots on the way up? Are you just taking shots of the event itself? What's your role as the photographer in these?
Yeah, so a lot of people will actually book me for 6 to 8 hours, which I know sounds really crazy right off the bat. You're like, what the heck are we going to do for that long? But it's definitely not an all-day photo shoot. So it depends. So sometimes with the more hard hikes, I'll have the couple in just hiking clothes and they change up at the top. So with ones like that, I don't take as many pictures on the way up. But if they want to hike in their wedding attire, then yeah, I'm taking photos on the way up and on the way down.
So does the bride have somebody lifting her dress up behind her the whole way, the train?
No, okay. We get a little dirt on your dress, kind of get the bottom all dirty and muddy. It's, a little remembrance of the day.
What else do people overlook when they're thinking about doing this? What are some other, like, you've done a lot of these now. So what other little tips and tricks do you have for people that are thinking about doing this? Like the things that they overlook that like getting a permit. What else?
Yeah. So permits, I would say, are the biggest one, but we talked about that. So like the little things that you might not think about, like I wouldn't recommend any dress shoes. I would recommend good sturdy hiking boots. You don't want to be climbing a rock in heels or dress shoes or anything like that. How to pack up a bouquet in your hiking pack without your flowers getting all wilty. How to roll up your dress so it doesn't get all wrinkly if you're changing at the top. I bring a little, like a elopement Mary Poppins kit, I guess, and it has like wipes for sweat, and it has bobby pins and tape and like suntan lotion and chapstick and everything you could ever need, like a Tide to Go pin.
Okay.
And yeah, I would say really when you're planning, if you are going to be planning an elopement, don't restrict yourself to anything. Like you can really do whatever you want. If you want to go kayaking, or you could do a helicopter tour, or have a picnic on top of a mountain, or explore the beach side. The options are really endless. And that's just for adventure elopements. There are plenty of people who do elopements in the city as well. Yeah, so I would just say don't restrict yourself to anything.
Yeah. I think I hear your dog in the background having a good time with the toy. That's pretty funny.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Okay. No, it's all good. It's all good, folks. So that squeaking noise is Ranger contributing to the episode.
Yeah, she likes her squeaky toys for sure.
Sorry,
I was going to mention a couple more things. So officiants, so how to make it legal.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so in Washington, you need 2 witnesses. So a lot of times we'll have either, if there's no guest, we'll just do hikers that we come across. Most people are going to be pretty excited to, witness someone getting married and sign as their witness. I am an officiant myself, but there's also quite a few officiants who are willing to hike up a mountain and have a whole ceremony for you too. And then the other thing that I do want to touch on is leave no trace. Super important. Yes. There's 7 principles. I definitely recommend looking them up and reading about them. Kind of want to, keep it better than we found it. So no smoke bombs, especially with all these fires lately, and kind of being aware of what you're bringing in on your wedding day. Yeah.
Well, that's smoke bombs. Why would people? There's another one that you said. Now I'm like looking at you like, what?
Yeah,
what's the point of a smoke bomb at a wedding?
There's some like dramatic element to it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the fires in the area was actually caused by one, which is why I mentioned it.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
no.
I would definitely not recommend to do that.
Right. So I'm looking here, and you've got the Olympic National Park, you've got Mount Baker, and the North Cascades, beautiful places, just absolutely
Yeah.
cool. You mentioned Rainier earlier in the Snoqualmie Pass. Have you ever done anything near the Snoqualmie Falls? Have you ever used that as the back? Has anyone have you ever been involved with somebody in that area?
So you have to get a special pass to get past the gate now, to be at the base of Snoqualmie Falls. So I haven't done that one, but I've done nearby Franklin Falls, off the 90, which is a good alternative. But Snoqualmie Falls is beautiful, for sure. But it's just a little bit harder to access now with the gates.
Have you ever gone over to Palouse, to the Palouse Falls and all of that there? Have you been out there in your trips here in Washington yet?
No, I haven't really been on the east side too much yet. It's on my list. I want to go see the hills in Palouse and then Palouse waterfall.
Palouse, not Palouse.
Okay. Palouse.
So, okay, folks, we have a person from Arizona here. We have to correct your spelling. It's the Palouse.
Palouse.
The
Okay.
spelling, yeah, the Palouse. You got to sound like a local. Come on now.
All right. I'm learning.
One of the things that's always been funny to me is watching like the local news, and they get some new newscaster in from outside of the area, and the first time they have to say Puyallup or Squim is like watching comedy, because they're just like, I don't know what I'm saying here. Some of the words in this area are just very, very different. But it's the Palouse, and it's an area that I hadn't experienced a lot in my life either until the last 6 months or so, and it's very strangely beautiful to me. It's just an awesome looking area, and the waterfalls, or the waterfall, is phenomenal. If it's bigger than Snoqualmie, it's higher than Snoqualmie, and it's pretty impressive. There's the wheat fields, which are kind of cool, and Walla Walla, the wine country, and all of that's definitely, this type of elopement would work really well out there as well.
Yeah.
So that's something to ponder. What other vendors are you bringing along here? Because when I think of wedding, I think, the traditional, ceremony type thing where we've got, catered meals, or, whatever type of meals. And on your website, you mentioned two of my favorite places. I'm sorry. You mentioned Dick's Drive-In, which is just,
It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And they're not good hamburgers. Come on. I'm not going to lie. They're great hamburgers, but they're great hamburgers. I mean, they are just, there's something about going to, anytime we go over to Seattle, like if we go see live music, which seems like so long.
I know.
I would always work in somehow I just happen to be in the neighborhood, go to one of those. But you mentioned Beecher's cheeses, and Beecher's they're fantastic.
Yes, so, I love Beecher's.
So are people packing their food in, or are they, because you mentioned kind of doing a meal, but I'm starting to think you've got to carry a lot of stuff up to do this type of thing.
Yeah, we definitely have to pack up a lot of stuff. So I've had people just, do sandwiches or like hiking snacks, and then like beer or a dessert we'll pack up there. That'd be awesome if someone wanted to pack up some Beechers. I wouldn't be mad at that.
There we go. Catered by Dick's. That'd be kind of fun. Take some Dick's Deluxe up to the pass. That'd be all right. That'd be great. So just out of curiosity, because weddings are always kind of a train wreck. I've never been to one that didn't have, some like head scratching moments. You have to have some stories, and we don't have to talk about the people specifically, but I'm going to guess, and I didn't prepare you for this question, so I apologize, but any funny, looking back, it became funny, maybe not in the moment, but any funny stories of things that maybe went wrong?
I find that the people who tend to elope are very, kind of go with the flow, stress-free, and we don't have that element of all the family drama. That's a big reason why a lot of people elope and don't bring their families. So I don't have any crazy bad stories. I guess like the worst is just waiting for fog to clear, but that's always fun and not too stressful.
Never got caught in bad weather?
No, really just fog. Yeah, I've been really lucky with the weather we've had. I guess I've had some light snow before, but all the people that I've had the pleasure of photographing have been really relaxed and, kind of roll with the punches. And if it rains on their wedding day, like they're okay with it. And yeah, it's kind of more relaxed than the typical wedding, which is another reason why elopements are a big draw to me. There's not all that chaos and stress and, it's easy and relaxed.
So do you have people flying? I mean, are your clients in Washington? Are they primarily Washingtonians? Are they flying in from out of the area, or how's that been for you so far?
I would say about half and half of locals versus people. Either I have a couple that's driving right now, and I've had some people fly in. So I've discovered a lot of people don't know how amazing Washington is unless they've been here before, which is a lot of people don't know what all we have to offer here. So I'm here to share that.
That's one of the reasons we're here, is to help people explore Washington and get them to know just some of the really amazing things. I mean, we really have just a super wide range of activities from the west side to the east side, north to south. There's just something for everybody. There really is. I've lived here my entire life, and I've traveled extensively in the United States, so I can say that I still keep coming home. And there might have been a time in my life where I thought, I could live here, but never had a conversation while traveling somewhere, and 2 months later moved to, like you did. So
yeah. It's
so
a good home.
Are you using any travel? What are you shooting these things with? Are you using special travel cameras? I mean, like, are you using, because I see this photograph of you and you're holding what looks like it's a Nikon, but you've got a camera in what looks like to be a Ziploc bag.
Oh yeah. That was the one that was snowing. That one wasn't as weather protected, so I wrapped it with saran wrap.
Oh, is that what it is? Saran wrap. Okay.
Yeah, because I only have one rain cover, and I get frustrated with my rain cover, so I normally throw it off at some point in the day. But that was saran in that one picture.
So what gear are we using? Camera gear are you using? Because your shots that I'm looking at, they're beautiful, and I know we can do a lot with Photoshop, but the composition's awesome, and these are nice, really nice quality images. So you're not just running around with your iPhone taking pictures of people. This is serious camera gear. What's in the camera bag?
So I have a Nikon D750. I really like that a lot. It was my second camera body. The first one that I started out with was a Nikon D3500, which is a good little camera. But it was a crop sensor, and it didn't have as many of the technical specs. So ever since I've upgraded to the 750, I've loved it. It does a lot better for nighttime shots. I really like using my 24-70 lens. It gives a lot of variety, so I can get a wider angle and then zoom in. And also, I'm going to be using a 85 prime lens and a 70-200. So It's quite a lot of gear to pack up.
A lot of glass to carry around. Are you using any off-camera lighting, or are you just relying completely on natural light for these?
Just natural light. I have some flashes, but I don't use them unless I'm doing like getting ready photos in an Airbnb or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of glass you're lugging around up there.
Yeah, I kind of set up my hiking pack to have them situated on my hip belts, so then it's not dragging too much weight on my neck, and kind of a little bit more evenly distributed when I'm hiking, which has been a big help.
All right, so I'm going to start asking you some very specific questions now. Ready?
Okay.
For
yes.
the specific adventure round.
Perfect.
Your personal favorite place for an elopement wedding in Washington State? Where would you say is your personal favorite?
I would say North Cascades, Mount Baker area, definitely. It's really beautiful up there. It's one of the least traveled national parks. There's a bunch of really gorgeous mountain ranges and alpine lakes, and Mount Baker is beautiful too.
Yeah, it's a beautiful area of the state. It really is. That's a good choice. Okay. Have you ever been out to La Push?
Yeah, I really like that area too. Like Ruby Beach area is gorgeous. Yeah. I really like shooting there and visiting.
Yeah, that's a beautiful spot too. Give our listeners 3 tips that they might not think of for success in planning an elopement wedding.
All right, so I know I'm definitely a little biased, but I would say pick a photographer that you're really connected with. On your elopement day, it's gonna either be just you two or maybe a few guests. So you're going to be spending your whole entire day with this person. So you want to make sure that you're really comfortable with them, that you connect really well, you're going to have a good time, and that you like their quality of work too. Because, if no one else is there, these are the only pictures you're going to have from your day. So just, picking a photographer you like. My second tip would be to choose a place that's meaningful to you. It could be somewhere that you've never been before and that you've been really wanting to explore, or maybe it's somewhere that holds some kind of personal significance to you, and you just couldn't imagine yourself getting married anywhere else. And then the third would be, a lot of people are going to have their own opinions on what you should and shouldn't do, no matter whatever type of wedding you're going to have. I would say as best as you can, kind of tune that out and just have fun and don't stress about what other people want, or is it going to be bad weather on my wedding day. Just kind of go with the flow and just kind of roll with the punches. And I think that's how you're going to have the best experience possible. And yeah.
Okay. So I'm scrolling through and looking at your photographs here, and you said earlier, don't wear high heels or dress shoes. And I'm looking at this guy; he's wearing some cowboy boots, and all I'm thinking is he's going to slip on those rocks. That's all I keep waiting for the after photo where he's laid on his back and his feet are up. Sorry, that was just a scroll. I don't know what random that was to this thing, but that's okay. So for all of us that are listening, that are in Washington State, who are in happily content relationships and we're thinking about doing this, I hope that you've learned some things in this episode that'll give you some inspiration, whether you decide to have an elopement or adventure wedding, or you decide to go down the traditional route. Hey, whatever. Have you seen an increase in this though, because of the current, pandemic, COVID, whatever you want to say? I mean, are people doing this because they're frustrated that they can't, get 50 people in a church or a bingo parlor or whatever it's going to be?
Yeah, I think with the current climate right now, a lot more people are being exposed to the idea of an elopement and kind of just now being presented that it's even an option. So I've definitely seen an increase of people deciding to elope, whether if they're just going to elope now and then have a bigger reception later in 2021, or if they're just going to elope and call it good. It has risen a lot in the past few months.
All right, so we're going to wrap this up. So why don't you tell us a little bit, Kathleen, about where people can find you online if they're interested in seeing your work? And I can say that from what I'm looking at, you do some beautiful photography. It's really nicely done. So where can our guests find you? And we'll put that in the show notes below as well, folks.
Oh, thank you. So you can find me on Instagram at kathleen.elizabeth.photography, or on my website, kathleenelizabethphotography.net. Yeah.
So earlier when we had talked off camera, if you will, you had mentioned other photographers maybe getting interested in doing this type of photography. What tips, tricks, advice might you have there?
Yeah, so my biggest advice would be to get outside as much as you can. If you want to do adventure elopements in Washington, go hike in Washington and explore as much as you can and kind of become an experienced adventurer yourself. One course that I did that was super helpful was a course by Maddie May. It's called the Adventure Elopement Photographer course, very, directly named. And that was really helpful with kind of fine-tuning my website to really make what I want to say to couples really clear and make my message come across. And a book that I would recommend everyone reading, not even just photographers, it's called Find Your Why. It's by Simon Sinek, and it kind of delves into, your life's purpose and kind of how to apply that with your job. And I would just, practice, shoot everything. You don't know if you're going to like something until you do it. I would just, try and expose yourself as much as possible.
All right. That's great. And the Simon Sinek book is a very good book. That's a great recommendation there. Can't say anything about the course because I've never taken the elopement photography course. So don't know. Can't recommend that either. So folks, this is going to be it. So Kathleen, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. I'll let you have the final word. Go ahead. Take it away. Where can people find you online? Let's start with that and then close the door.
Awesome. So you can find me on Instagram at kathleen.elizabeth.photography. Or on my website, kathleenelizabethphotography.net. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I had a good time. It was good talking with you.
Thanks for being a great guest and having fun with us as we, bumble our way through an episode. For those of you that are, listening to us, that we're never really scripted anyway. And today was certainly not scripted at all. So if you've made it this far, make sure you check Kathleen out online because her work is beautiful. And thanks again. And remember, there's always more to explore. Take care.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.